Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel where we make statistics simple, especially for public health. Today we're diving into two important concepts, standard deviation and coefficient of variation. We will break down what they mean and how they are different and use easy public health examples to help you understand. Let's get started. First, let's draw an infographic to highlight these differences. On the left, we have standard deviation, and on the right, coefficient of variation. Both measure how spread out data is, but they do it in different ways and are used in different situations. Difference number one, type of measure. Standard deviation is an absolute measure of variability. That means it tells you in the same unit as your data how much values typically differ from the average. Coefficient of variation, or CV, on the other hand, is a relative measure. It tells you how big the standard deviation is compared to the mean, and it's usually expressed as a percentage. So imagine you are tracking the number of daily steps taken by two groups, teenagers and senior citizens. Standard deviation tells you in steps how much each group's daily steps vary from their own average. CV, on the other hand, tells you how big that variation is compared to each group's average steps. So let's go into difference number two, the unit of measurement. Standard deviation uses the same unit as your data. So if you're measuring blood pressure in millimeters of mercury, mmHg, the standard deviation is also in millimeters of mercury. But coefficient of variation has no units, since it's a ratio, and in most instances it's just represented as a percentage, making it easy for you to compare different data sets. So let's say you're comparing the variability of blood pressure measured in millimeters of mercury and cholesterol level measured in milligrams per dl. Standard deviation gives you the numbers in different units, thus making it difficult to compare. But the CV converts both to percentages, so you can compare them directly. Let's move to difference number three, purpose or use. Standard deviation is best for measuring the spread within a single dataset, while coefficient of variation is perfect for comparing variability between two or more datasets, especially if the averages or the units are different. So when they have different means, the coefficient of variation is perfect for comparing variability between these datasets. For example, supposing you want to compare the consistency of vaccination rates in two different cities. City A has a higher average vaccination rate than City B. Standard deviation tells you how much each city's rates vary, but CV lets you compare which city's rates are more consistent, regardless of their average. Now, difference number four, interpretation. Standard deviation tells you the typical distance of data points from the mean, i.e., how much on average things differ from the mean. Coefficient of variation, however, tells you how big the standard deviation is compared to the mean. So is the standard deviation expressed as a percentage of the mean. A higher CV means more variability relative to the mean. So imagine you're looking at the number of doctor visits per month in two communities. One community might have a higher average, but if its CV is lower, it means their doctor visits are more consistent compared to the other community. And for the final difference number five, that is sensitivity to scale. Standard deviation is sensitive to the scale of your data. If you double all your numbers, for example, the standard deviation also doubles. Coefficient of variation, however, isn't sensitive to scale. If you double all your values, the mean and standard deviation both double, so the CV remains the same. For example, if you measure the weights of newborns in grams and then in kilograms, the standard deviation changes, right? But the CV remains the same, making it easier to compare data measured in different units. So to recap, standard deviation is great for understanding variability within one data set using the same units as your data. Coefficient of variation is best for comparing variability across different data sets because it's a percentage and it's not affected by the scale or units. In public health, both are useful. Standard deviation helps you see how much things differ in one group, while the coefficient of variation helps you compare different groups or measurements fairly. If you found this video useful, give us a like, subscribe, and let us know in the comments what other statistics topics you would like us to cover. And as always, thanks for watching.